I was in 6th grade. Small, really impoverished school in California. That morning, we had a lockdown drill. Super common and recognizable at this school. All the teachers would warn us ahead of time to save the panic. A short buzzer would go off, and then our principal would go on the intercom and give this huge spiel about how this was a lockdown drill. That when a real lockdown came by, the buzzer would play for longer and she wouldn't do any announcements. We all shut the curtains and sat in the classroom. It was over before we knew it, and the day went by. But as the day progresses, this picture kept popping up. From the glances I got, it was a picture of some notebook paper. I assumed it was something personal somebody lost, and everybody was just being dicks and showing it around, so I didn't even ask to see it. Finally, it was the second to last period of the day. I ducked out of the class to use the restroom. But while I was at the sink, the buzzer went off again. It was so long I wanted to cover my ears. No announcements. No explanation. A real lockdown. You're supposed to stay where you are. In my case, hop on top of a toilet and lock my stall. But I was not about to sit here and wait for whatever intruder could be here to barge into the bathroom while they contemplated or recouped. Screw that. I ran out of the bathroom, hoping to go back to my classroom. But it was locked, and there was no way my teacher was letting me back in. I was panicking, so I kept going down the hall, trying each and every handle I could. Finally, I found this other girl sobbing as she kept trying to open the same handle, I assume her natural class. I grabbed her hand and led her down my path as I kept trying doors. After only a minute, though it felt like hours, we found an empty computer lab whose door was open. We went inside and hid until the entire thing was over. The school tried to keep it hush-hush, but we all eventually found out a kid brought his dad's gun to school because he was mad, but then realized he didn't want to hurt anybody. He hid in the bathrooms and called the police on himself. Nobody got hurt, and I never really saw the kid again. I think the scariest part was the picture I was talking about earlier. I found out, after everybody figured out what happened, that it was his list. I was number 9. I remember it clear as day. I'm sitting in my 9th period class, Mr. P's geography class, with my best friend. We're watching a video on trade throughout the world when we hear some loud noises. We figured it could be a senior prank. They had decked the halls the day before. A couple of screams. We see kids running down our hallway. Mr. P gets up, looks out the door, and shuts it quickly, turns the lights off, tells us to get down. As he's sending us to the corner and trying to hide us, the lockdown comes down over our school. It's weird. We heard these loud noises, but they didn't register as gunshots. We heard screaming, but we just didn't process it. And through all this noise, it's silent at the same time. You can hear the person next to you breathing. You can see your friends crying, trying to contact your friends and family. That's when I get texts from my best friend at a different school. "Jay, are you okay?" I was confused by the text. "Yeah, we're hearing loud noises." "I don't know what's happening," screaming outside the classroom. I texted back. It took forever to send. I got another text. "Stay down. There's an active shooter at your school." My heart dropped. I just remember grabbing my best friend and holding her so tight, telling each other we loved each other, texting my parents and my uncle and anyone who means anything to me. "Goodbye. If I don't make it out of this shooting alive, I love you." And then putting my phone down and just sitting in darkness as we listen.
"Drop the gun now!"
We would quickly learn there were 2 shooters. About an hour after the shooting started, the cops busted into our rooms, rifles aimed at us, yelling, "Don't move. Put your hands in the air and stand up slowly." And I just remember walking out of the classroom, surrounded by police, crying my eyes out, seeing blood on the floor. Some police were telling us, "You're okay. You're safe. You're doing so well." But I just couldn't hear them. I just couldn't. I was crying and my friends were crying, even the teachers. We made it out of the school, and it was pouring rain. Typical Colorado. It was cold, so us high schoolers gave our sweatshirts to the younger kids to shield them from the rain and the wind. I couldn't find my sister. We were all piled onto buses which took us to a local recreation center to be picked up by our parents. Every criminal investigation and law enforcement team you could imagine was there. We saw FBI, we saw Homeland Security, SWAT, park rangers, game wardens, cops, SROs, KS, armored cars, you name it. They were there. By this point, rumors were spreading like wildlife. Only one kid was shot. He was shot in the foot. We would later learn this was far from true. We would learn that 8 of our friends had been shot. Some had been shot multiple times by our 2 classmates, 2 boys high on cocaine, who brought handguns into a 12th grade classroom, and not all of us made it out of the building alive. Our friend KRC, were his initials, was shot in the chest and killed instantly after charging the 18-year-old shooter. He died a hero. Several more were sent to the hospital for shock-related things. To this day, it haunts me. And it always will. Always. I will never forget the events that happened on that horrible, horrible day in May. And most of all, I will never forget my friend KC. His kindness and compassion, and what he did for us that day. I would find my sister 5 hours after the shooting happened. She was okay, but the 16-year-old shooter had attempted to enter her classroom, and she listened to KC's death. I'd just finished 90 minutes of philosophy, ethics, logic class, and was slowly trudging towards my English class, which I hadn't done the homework for. Just as I'm about to turn the corner, I realize that almost everyone else is moving in the opposite direction as me, which is weird. And by moving, I mean running, which is really weird. But then my neighbor comes stumbling towards me and manages to say someone's got a gun before he passes. A gun. Really? This is a small and affluent suburban Philadelphia public high school. We don't have school shootings here. Granted, 2 months previously someone had brought a gun to school that had sent us into lockdown, but he'd left campus with it and had been picked up by police a few blocks away. But a shooting? Nope, definitely wouldn't happen here. At that point, I stop and quickly turn back towards my philosophy, ethics, logic classroom, where my teacher is quickly shepherding students in. Before I go into the classroom, I turn back and see my English teacher come sliding around the corner. She's the last one into our classroom before the door gets locked, the lights go out, and a table is positioned near the door to at least provide a little bit of imaginary cover. There's an announcement over the intercom that all students and teachers should take shelter in a classroom and lock the doors. There are about 9 other students and 2 teachers in the room with me. At this point, all we're thinking is that this is another semi-serious but not that terrible event like what happened a few months ago. So we're back in a corner, away from the doors and windows, kinda nervously shooting the shit. I hop onto a computer and try to see what's up and manage to shoot an email off to my mom about what's happening. It's 2006, and I'd left my pay-as-you-go phone at home that day. I tell her that someone's got a gun, and at some point I'll find my little brother, and that we'll get home somehow. Google News has us on the first page, but there's very little details. My teacher tells me to get off of the internet, so I do. Someone runs past the classroom and we all tense up. No other noises. We're not talking much, but nothing's happened for about 10 minutes now, and we're starting to wonder if everything's okay, but then... Oh God. Gunshot. One gunshot. No other sounds. Just our own breathing. We all crawl under the computer tables and huddle. I'm wedged into the very back of the corner, surrounded by everyone, with my orange backpack on my lap. One gunshot. It sounded close. Is someone okay? Can we help them? Is this it? My English teacher is next to me and is barely keeping it together. I make a comment about how I hadn't done my homework to make us both feel better, and maybe it works. Where's my brother? Is he okay? I mean, one gunshot, so he's probably not dead, but it'd be really nice to know if he's all right. The minutes drag on, and then the intercom beeps, which scares the living shit out of all of us. A shaky voice tells us that police will be clearing the classrooms and that we should be prepared to cooperate with them. We're all being evacuated to the middle school gymnasium, which is a short walk away. An eternity later, the door opens and a few police officers storm in, guns drawn, ducking around our makeshift cover table. Everyone crawls out from their hiding places. I'm the last one out. The officers make sure that we're all fine, but they keep their guns aimed at us for maybe a little too long. Still, they're doing their job, and it was probably an even more boring day for them before all of this started. We're led out of the classroom to the stairs that'll take us outside, where we'll walk to the middle school. Down the hall, 3 maintenance men are holding up a yellow curtain. Although we're one of the last classrooms to clear, we're not the only ones getting out. Mixed with our other classmates, rumors spread like wildfire. A girl tells me the name of the shooter, a fellow junior. Really? It's him. No, he's a great kid. Why would he shoot himself? Eagle Scout, volunteer fireman, involved in the arts, all around nice guy. He's kind of in my circle of friends too. Granted, tangentially. He's from the other side of town and is closer to some of my other friends. But we're still on friendly terms. Seriously, that can't be right. Well, maybe he'll be okay. It is. It's him. And he's not okay. And we're not okay either. We walk away from the high school and through a tunnel that'll get us to the middle school. Above us, there are 3 different news helicopters. This will add helicopters to my list of fears. Still though, where's my brother? Maybe he'll meet us at the middle school. The gymnasium at the middle school is a mess. People are reunited with their friends and teachers and everyone's crying. The popular girl is bawling her eyes out as I drift through the crowd. Everyone's crying though, I guess. I'm looking for my brother. I don't find him, but I do find my band director and a PUSH teacher. We talk for a little bit. There he is. Phew. He's okay. Tears start to swell up for the first time as I realize how worried about him I was. He's okay. We borrow a phone and call our mom, who comes and picks us up. It's a really sad week. School's canceled the next day. There's a half day after that. Our teachers are broken. Some want us to keep going with school. Others want to figure out how they can help us. Others just let us talk. Projects get pushed back, finals get snipped, and walls and floors get repainted and repaired. It's a very weird day at school.